The Epstein files prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the 508c1a trust is real. In this video, I'm going to decode this conspiracy and go into the details of how it's related to the center of the matrix and this trust that we use, and ultimately how you can take steps to protect those you love and yourself from the darkness and the corruption that's sweeping over this land. So first of all, this conspiracy has been known about for years, but it was more under the shadows and sort of pushed up to the edges of the matrix where people would deny it. And, if you said 5-10 years ago that this world was run by a conspiracy controlled by the devil, people would be, pretty shocked and look at you like you're crazy. Now, however, there's literally millions of pages, which is like, it might as well be infinite, just an infinite amount of material and evidence that is proving just the vast darkness that is controlling this land. And part of the first thing that I'll say is, people are getting lost in the little particulars and the weeds, trying to, connect all the little dots and see how it all makes sense. But really, it's important to zoom out and just look at it, from a perspective where all the little particular details, like a lot of it, we won't ever really know the truth ultimately. Even the government releasing these files, it begs the question, what haven't they released? Because no one's being arrested yet. Yeah, there's like information out there, and some of the rats are starting to flee. Some of the demons that are involved in the conspiracy are resigning and fleeing to the shadows. But even that, they're not actually being hunted down really in the way that they probably should. And so it begs the question, yes, there was all these different pages released, but what wasn't released and what was redacted? And, if the horrible shit that's being released, is what they want us to know, then what kind of horrible things are still being hidden from view? And that is a very disturbing question. As I look at these different articles, I personally haven't even gone super deep into it, because to me, it's very clear that rather than analyzing the particulars, it just is evidence of the hive mind of the devil. All of these demonic, dark characters that run this world, they're all ultimately linked. And when you push one of them, you push all of them. And there's many TV shows and movies that describe this hive mind effect where they're all connected. And that is truly the only way that I can really explain this in a logical manner. Because even Epstein, this character, Jeffrey Epstein, even when you research his backstory, it's very perplexing and confusing as to how he got to be in the position that he was. First of all, he has such vast connections, apparently, to people all around the globe. And it's like, how did he even get himself in that position in the first place, where he knows people from this country and all these politicians and all these different people? And I've heard different stories, one that he was some agent from Mossad, but even that is like, doesn't really explain, how he got to where he was. And even this idea that he was a great tax strategist, that's a fucking joke, because this guy, you hear him in interviews and you see what he's actually doing, and he's doing a bunch of like retarded stuff, frankly. It's like none of it strikes, anyone who's smart as, oh, this guy's a genius and he's gonna completely protect me from taxes. Like, no. Clearly he was some kind of, information broker potentially, and some kind of fixer, because he's peddling women and potentially even darker things, outside of that, to all these elites around the world. And when you look at the way the devil works, it's not just about money. Like money is printed. So money is from the devil's perspective, money is actually one of the cheapest commodities, because at their whim, they can just boom, in 1 second print. How do you think this new war is being funded now? They're just gonna print the money. So the fact that they have unlimited money means that once you get to this point in the demonic hierarchy where you just have all this money, well then what becomes exciting after that? And so then it becomes power and control. And that's where the sickness of targeting the weakest and the innocent come into play. Because that's how the devil, that's how these characters really exert their control and their power over the world and over society is through taking advantage of children. You know, the rape, the cannibalism, all these other just disgusting, dark things that have gone on for many years and that are still going on in this very moment. That is how these characters think they're gaining power over this world. And they have all kinds of, you know, sick rituals and reasoning behind that. And it's one of these things that you can't sit on the fence in this kind of situation, because part of why this is happening and unfolding and unraveling in this slow motion train wreck is a test. You know, in a similar way where COVID was a test for our compliance, as these files are being released and as the information disseminates, it's testing everybody to see, what side are you on? Are you just gonna sit back and watch what's happening and, you know, just not do anything? Because that's really just as bad as participating in it. And if you're a taxpayer feeding into the system, that's where your money's going. A percentage of every single dollar that you pay in taxes is going to fund the disgusting pedophiles that run this world. And, you know, I even saw some article the other day about how there was, you know, this new conspiracy, not new, but just a conspiracy with child pornography being distributed among the Defense Department and the Pentagon. And I have this image of my head of these like disgusting people, creatures who work in that department, jerking off to child porn. And then the next moment they're drone bombing and just dropping bombs off somewhere in the Middle East, killing children, killing innocents. Like, this is just such a disgusting image where it reminds me of 1984, where everything the government says, you just look at what they're saying to you and you can assume they're doing the opposite. So the Department of Defense, well, all they're doing is creating war. You know, it's just truly, truly disgusting what's going on. And all the biggest characters in this matrix, they're all for it. You know, that outside, you know, in their mouth, they're saying, oh yeah, this is bad, this is so horrible. But what is anyone actually doing about it? You know, they're still like, oh yeah, be a good tax-paying slave. And, you know, that's the only thing that matters is paying your taxes. And every single celebrity, every single pastor, every single church, that's what they're on board with. They're on board with the matrix and the system that encourages slavery and all the demonic darkness behind it. So ultimately, how does all this tie into the 508c1a trust and this weird glitch in the tax code? Well, first of all, one of the ways it ties in is that it exposes this whole, you know, Jeffrey Epstein being a tax genius. Because, like, that's clearly not how he got all these connections. He got all those connections because they were already connected. It's a hive where they all know each other and they're all in on it. They all know what they're all doing, and they're all cooperating to enslave and, you know, create darkness in this world. And part of this part of the tax code is to prove that when you actually start to, you know, care about that and to wield it, because the only person who finds the center of the matrix and even finds the term 508c1a, they're in a frequency in their mind where they care enough where they're like, the last straw is the last straw. Like, I don't want to give a single penny more to fund whatever this bullshit is going on. So I'm going to find anything I can in my power to not do that. And that's where this part of the tax code comes in. It is the only place where that's possible. Every other place, you're jumping through all these hoops and you're qualifying and you're doing write-offs and you're listening to the demons that run this place. And this is the one place that is absolutely uncompromising where you don't have to do all that. So it stands in opposition, and it proves, you know, not only this nonsense story about Epstein, but it also proves that when there is darkness, there has to be light. Because this world is duality. This world is good versus evil, God versus the devil. And part of why the devil runs this matrix is as a test. Because as the screws of reality turn, and as this world gets darker and darker, people are forced into a position where they either accept it and they get washed away and swallowed by the darkness, or they stand up to it. and they take the right steps consciously in their own minds and their own actions in order to prove, look, I'm not with this bullshit that's going on, and I am here to stand against it. And so this trust and understanding the principles of the private, common law, irrevocable, ecclesiastical trust, all of these words and all of the principles behind them, they elevate your consciousness to a level where you operate in this reality in a way where you learn what the common law really means. You learn really what it means to love God, love your brothers and sisters, do no harm to others, and ultimately follow Jesus Christ. Because the avatar, the name that's going to protect us in this reality, is Jesus Christ. And look, I didn't make the rules, but this country, the matrix is designed in a way where the clues are everywhere. Obviously, every pastor in church is out there, all the millions and millions of people, they're all talking about Jesus Christ all day, but what are they actually doing about it? Are they signing their soul irrevocably? Are they proving through their actions and through their dollars that, look, this evil, sick shit that's going on, I'm not going to stand for it anymore. I'm not going to put a single dollar of my money, I'm not going to put my time, and I'm not going to put my energy into that darkness over there. I'm going to create a shield, create a wall, create the protection around myself and my family, and then operate all my activities economically, spiritually, and otherwise behind this trust. And so if you want to learn more about that process, check out the link below to the Bulletproof Retirement community, because myself and hundreds of others are implementing this every day, and we prove what we're doing by our actions. We're not just talkers. Every day we prove how we're taking our assets, we're taking the things that God has given us to steward, and we are protecting them and not paying into this disgusting evil system that is, in place right now. So as far as, how you can withdraw your support from the madness, this has to be a process where your heart pulls you in the right direction. So many people are talking, and just blah, 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 but it's your heart that has to tell you that this path is the right one, because there's no sitting on the fence. The evil that's going on right now, when I see it and just see the extent of it, and just everyone wants to sit down and chat about it, it's like, oh yeah, we can just talk about it. It's like, it's meant to piss you off, and it's meant to disgust you, and it's meant to push you into action. Because if you don't, well, guess what? The tide is coming, and it's going to wash everyone away who's not on the right side. Unless you've been living under a rock, the reverberations of revelations are here, and we're starting to see God really, God via the devil, turn up the volume knob, where it's becoming more and more obvious what's happening. Years ago, these conspiracies were buried in darkness. You had to be some private investigator going to some, Alex Jones, where he went to this weird conclave out in the, some country club somewhere, and they're all wearing masks and worshiping the devil. Yeah, that's very secret. And of course, there are these secret rituals that have been going on, since the dawn of this reality. But now it is all out in the open. And it's going to be more and more out in the open every day that passes. This conspiracy is growing, and it's just even just all the mental gymnastics that people do to justify being slaves to the system, trying to think that Trump is going to save us. I mean, this is a joke. These people are now bombing the shit out of yet another country and saying, oh, there's some reasoning and justification. But we're just paving the pathway towards revelations, where ultimately, God is fair. And that is the interesting thing. Amidst all the evil, it's, you have to ask yourself, why would God do this? And why would God create such disgusting evil and then not do anything about it? And the truth is, God is doing something about it. Because first of all, there is a path out of it. And so that's the first thing. The first thing is, if you're even here watching this and you care enough to even care about these things, then you have that choice. You're at that crossroads where there's the path of following what the herd is doing and just going along with it, or there's the path of drawing that line and saying, look, I'm going to do whatever it takes to not participate in the evil that's going on. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that revelations are coming, and if you don't know what that is, you can read the Bible, and every other major philosophy or religion talks about that, because the nature of this reality is creation, preservation, and destruction. And so the time for destruction is here. And right now, evil is still rampant, evil is still everywhere, and you could make the argument that it's growing. But that is the precursor to the destruction that comes. And not just the destruction of the innocent and all the horrible things that you're seeing, but the evil that runs this land, it will be destroyed. And part of it is through the actions of the people that follow Jesus Christ. And every day they're proving to themselves and to their families and to all the people that they touch that there is a better way to do things, that there is a path where you don't have to support this. And as this reality and this cycle draws to a close, I just pray for the death of these evil creatures. And I pray that Jesus Christ comes down, Mayor Baba, the Father, and the Archangel Gabriel comes with his sword to just slice off the heads of all these demons. And that will happen. Judgment will come for all of them. And so that's why ultimately I have a certain peace, actually, where despite the evil that's going on, I know what's really happening. I know that God is putting that here as a test, and I know that that will all come to an end. That's why, when people read Revelations, they could get alarmed because there's a lot of dark imagery, there's a lot of burning and immolation and just a lot of destruction and death. But really, when you see the evil that's going on, do you want that to survive? Like, do you want these people to keep doing what they're doing? Do you want these creatures to continue to enslave us and continue to use and abuse the innocent and the children of this land? If that's what you want, well then great. Keep sitting on the sidelines, keep burying your head in the sand, keep supporting it. But for those that want it absolutely fucking annihilated and destroyed, well, rest assured that day is coming. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make that day come, and that's really what I'm doing here on this channel and with the work that I do. So anyone who wants to join me and join many others who are walking this path, I'd love to see you in the community. And for the rest of you, good luck, because, for now, the darkness is spreading and continuing, but it won't be for long. Judgment is coming.